Good morning. I'm in Minnesota. You betcha, eh? I'm riding the Paul Bunyan Trail. The Paul Bunyan Trail is a 119-mile rail trail that goes from Brainerd, Minnesota, all the way up to Bemidji. But this is a 4-day trip. I'm starting in Brainerd, and I'm going to take 2 days to go up to Bemidji, and then I'm going to turn around and come back for a total of 4 days riding on the Paul Bunyan Trail. It's going to be a 4-day boomerang tour from Brainerd to Bemidji and back again. The Northwoods is Paul Bunyan country. The legend of Paul Bunyan grew out of American logging camps in the late 1800s and is well known throughout Minnesota and the Northwoods. Paul was a lumberjack as tall as the Empire State Building. He could clear an entire forest with one swing of his axe. Paul's best buddy was a big blue ox named Babe. The 10,000 lakes of Minnesota were formed by his footprints as he explored the Northwoods. And the Mississippi River was created by Paul dragging his axe. I didn't know Paul Bunyan had a girlfriend. Her name's Lucette. Whoa! So I started this morning in Brainerd, and today I'm going to head for Hackensack. It's going to be about 50 miles or so. It's early in the season, so I'm taking it easy. Usually, in the summertime, when most of the country is baking in heat, you're not far from Canada, so the Northwoods stays nice and cool. So I'm just headed down the Paul Bunyan Trail. Gotta keep moving so that the bugs don't eat me. As long as you're moving at least 4 miles an hour, the bugs can't catch up to you. If you need to stop at an open area where there's some sunshine and maybe a little breeze. And the wind should keep the mosquitoes off you. But it's a beautiful day out here in Minnesota. The weather right now is pretty near perfect. Highs are going to be in the mid-70s, wind out of the southwest, and mostly clear skies. But they're calling for big storms this afternoon, so I got to watch out for that. So I've got all my stuff packed in plastic, and I'm going for it. I'm going to stop at Hackensack tonight. It's a little town about halfway to Bemidji, and it's got a little motel in it. So that's where I'm headed. Anyway, I don't want to sit here too long. You know, the state bird for Minnesota is actually the mosquito. And if the mosquitoes don't get you, the ticks will. So it's best not to stay in one place for too long. I think before the mosquitoes have me for breakfast, I'm going to head on down the trail. Clouds are building up. Skies are starting to look a little bit more menacing. Looks like storms are coming, and I'm going to have to boogie. Looks like this is going to be a race, and I'm going to have to outrun this storm. Nope, didn't make it. Storm caught me just 2 miles short of Hackensack. I got soaked. I rode through this blinding downpour for about 10 minutes until I found shelter in Hackensack. All right, this is the second day on the Paul Bunyan Trail. It rained last night. Got a bad storm coming in the afternoon yesterday, but this morning it's all cleared up. Bright sunshiny morning. Everything looks pretty good, but it's cold. Temperature this morning was around 50 degrees. Last night I stayed in Hackensack, and I'm getting a good early morning start today. But it's a cold little morning. It's gonna be another 50-mile day or so. I'm headed up to Bemidji, and they're calling for afternoon thunderstorms again. And I don't want to get caught in it like I did yesterday. So today, no goofing off. All business. Gonna be a big wind out of the southwest again, which will be mostly helpful. But once this weather system moves through, the wind's gonna switch out of the northwest, just in time for me to turn around south and head back to Brainerd. So tonight I'm headed for Bemidji. Paul Bunyan Trail was once part of the Burlington Northern Railroad, built in 1893. The rail line was abandoned in 1983, and the first 50 miles of trail was opened in 1992. The Paul Bunyan became a Hall of Fame rail trail in 2011. The trail starts south of Baxter and Brainerd at the Crow Wing State Park. It goes north for about 120 miles all the way to Lake Bemidji, near the origin of the Mississippi River. There are plenty of small towns to explore along the way, with lots of parking, camping, hotels, and restaurants. The Paul Bunyan is a paved trail, which is nice because it's nice and smooth. Well, mostly, except when it's not. The trouble with paved trails is that over time, the pavement starts to crack. Sometimes it's due to tree roots that grow underneath the pavement. As the tree roots grow, they crack the pavement, and then sucker shoots start to emerge through the pavement. Once that happens, the trail gets real rough. There are a few spots near Walker where the tree roots looked like they were winning. There was a section near Pine River where the pavement had a large crack in it about every 10 to 20 meters. This went on for a few miles, and it got pretty annoying after a while. That's got to be an expensive fix. Given the cracks in the pavement, sometimes crushed gravel trails are the way to go. This paved rail trail is generally level, except for a 6-mile section just north of Hackensack that goes through the Chippewa National Forest. This section can be hilly and windy, with some short grades up to 8%. The trail goes through northern forests mixed with grassy meadows. Along the way, you ride past 20 lakes and about 10 rivers and streams. The Northwoods ecosystem was once an expansive forest covering over 60 million acres, with a diversity of pine, maple, spruce, and birch species, surrounding an abundance of lakes that were carved out in the last ice age. The forest is still recovering from over a century of large-scale logging and development. This area is the headwaters of one of the greatest river systems in the world. This is where the Mississippi River is born. With all this fresh water, it's really a fisherman's paradise. The Paul Bunyan Trail is part of Adventure Cycling's Northern Tier route. And I met these guys doing the Northern Tier. Alright. So, give me the spiel. What are you guys up to?
We're biking the Northern Tier.
Yeah?
Yeah, going from Washington to, or Anacortes, Washington to Bar Harbor, Maine.
How long you been on the road?
32 days.
32 days. How much longer you got to go?
38, yeah.
So you're about halfway?
About halfway.
Cool.
Yeah.
Have you had any mishaps? No tragedies, but near tragedies?
We've had 5 bike shops, 1 dentist appointment, 1 PT appointment.
All for one person.
3 dogs.
3 dogs yesterday.
3 dogs?
3 dogs.
Chased us down the street.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
I like dogs. Dogs are cool.
Yeah.
Any breakdowns?
Not complete breakdowns. We've had to limp it. I had derailleur break on mile 0. So it got fixed on mile 20. And then 2 of us forgot our helmets.
Yeah.
We got helmets now, but we forgot to pack them.
What do you like about bike touring? I mean, why do this? I mean, there are easier ways to travel than by bicycle. So, but I mean, what's the appeal? I mean, why bicycle touring?
I think if you're driving across the country, you can't really appreciate the scenery as much as you can on a bike because you're focusing on the road. But here you can kind of look around and talk to your friends and hang out, camp every night.
Better sense of accomplishment that you're the one that's actually getting you across the country and not some machine.
Yeah. And what are your names again?
Max.
Max.
Warren.
Will. Awesome. Stayed in Bemidji last night. I made it in before the bad weather, and the strong winds came in. The weather must have been bad, judging by the abundance of downed trees on the trail that weren't there yesterday. They get a lot of use out of this trail, not just in the summertime for bicyclists, but this is also a great place to ride your snowmobile in the wintertime. This trail hooks up with the Blue Ox Trail just north of Bemidji, a 74-mile unpaved wilderness trail that takes you close to the Canadian border. The Heartland Trail, another 49-mile multi-use trail, crosses the Paul Bunyan Trail on its way from Park Rapids to Cass Lake. In the summer, the mosquitoes get pretty bad, so you better bring your DEET. Just come on up to northern Minnesota in the summertime. When the mosquitoes start feeding on you, you'll have to rethink your place in the food chain. You also got to watch out for ticks. They're always right there lurking in the tall grass, waiting to latch onto your ankles. Watch for deer, beaver, bald eagle. You might see a pine marten or a fox, or even an occasional moose or even black bear, as well as hundreds of migratory bird species. The beaver is what's known as a keystone species. It holds a community together. Beavers build dams and alter the habitat to suit themselves. But by flooding lowland areas, habitat is also created for so many other species. Beavers, once common, were hunted out long ago. When beavers come back, biodiversity increases. The presence of beavers holds an ecosystem together. That's why it's called a keystone species. Good morning. It's Friday and it's day 4. Stayed in Hackensack last night, and today I'm on my way back to Brainerd. Sun finally came out, the wind died down. It looks like it's going to be a nice day. Finishing up my 4-day Brainerd to Bemidji and back again tour. Total of about 200 miles. See you down the trail. Things are pretty quiet out here on the trail. There's plenty of solitude to go around. It's not the Rocky Mountains, but there's wilderness here in the Northwoods. And there's always a chance of seeing cool wildlife. There are a few camping spots along the trail, especially in the Chippewa National Forest. Thanks again to the fine people up here in Minnesota and their dedication to the rail trail system. Except for a few rough spots, the Paul Bunyan Trail is an outstanding trail, and I highly recommend it. A Hall of Fame rail trail with over 100 miles of car-free cycling right here in Minnesota. So the next time you're north of the Twin Cities, come check out Paul and his big Blue Ox Babe and take a ride on the Paul Bunyan Rail Trail here in the Northwoods. Well, that's it here from Brainerd, Minnesota. Just finished the Paul Bunyan Trail way up here in the North Country. Hey, thanks for watching. Now go ride your bike.